Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's tonight's module. The topic for tonight is the second in a series, our approach workshop, or as I like to just call it, what to say when we meet certain types of people. So tonight is focused on what to say when we meet health professionals. And just to be clear, the content for tonight is not about what we say when we walk into an office and what we say to the gatekeeper. This is what we say when we meet health professionals out and about. Because guess what? Health professionals and doctors are people too. So before we get started, what is expected of you coming into this module? Where are you in the education funnel? So you should have an understanding of the basic 5, as well as the NDT, and of course, if you're on tonight's call, you have been to an NC training. When I say you should have an understanding of the basic 5 and the new distributor training, I mean that you've gone more than once, that you really understand how our business operates, where you can maybe not stand in front of a room and explain it, but when you have a business partner of yours ask you certain questions, you'll know those answers. Those answers can and should be found in your career manual. We're supposed to read 15 minutes a day of business building content. I highly suggest, if you haven't read through your career manual, that you take that time and every morning or every night, whenever it is that you choose to do that time for yourself, read your career manual. And of course, in this module, whenever you see something that is blue and italicized, that's a script that you can use. And again, to be clear, these are my words and how I say them. You absolutely want to find your true self in the wording and use what I'm giving you as a template. So remember, doctors are people too. And where are you going to meet them? You can meet them anywhere. Certainly networking events, especially if a networking event is specific to health, nutrition, or medicine. There are many conferences that happen all throughout the year in different locations. But you might meet doctors that are just living their lives, that have kids, that go to school with your kids. You might meet some doctors or health professionals that are also growing their practice at networking events or meetups. And of course, the 3-foot rule, which means you have the freedom to say hello to anybody who's in a 3-foot radius of you. And if they say hello back, they might be a great candidate for friendship, for being a customer, or they might be a great candidate as a business partner. Of course, we're not going to pounce on them when we say hello. We're simply going to develop and build that relationship. If you are not meeting people or you don't know any health professionals in your current sphere, then go somewhere new to meet new people. It can really be that simple. And all you're going to do, your objective is, again, not to prospect and pounce on people, but make a new friend. And the best way to do that, of course, is to start asking them questions about themselves. Hopefully, they'll ask you questions about yourself in return. But really, get to know them. Find out, what makes them tick. And this is true across the board, not just for health professionals. This is true for everyone that you meet. So let's take a moment and just go through this is just a list that I came up with when I was putting this slide together, of the different types of doctors. This doesn't even go into all the allied health professionals that exist. There are probably at least 50 more types of physicians and health professionals. This is just a smattering, if you will, of some health professionals that you might want to consider working with or consulting for and designing programs for. So what is nutraMetrix? Last week on the previous module, we talked about a soundbite for all of our major divisions and how you can take what it is that our company as a whole does and turn it into a bite-sized chunk that comes out of your mouth organically. So for nutraMetrix, since we're talking about health professionals, all it is a systemized way for health professionals to grow their practice, to help their patients get better, while at the same time generating a much needed income for the practice. It's really that simple. So this is also a good time to go over the full mission. The mission of nutraMetrix, of course, is to provide a system for health professionals to create an ongoing income while providing patients and clients with a better way to achieve optimal health. We do this through revolutionary technology, science-based nutritional interventions, and the power of people. That's the most important part, in my opinion, the NC support that we have for our health professionals. We are changing the face of healthcare, one health professional and one practice at a time. So when we're out meeting people, what we've been taught is to ask them, of course, what they do, and then customize your I implement to whatever it is that they share with you. Or if they're not a health professional, customize what you do within the Market America world, or who your contacts are in the Market America world, so that we can best help them. So the way that we've been doing it is you meet somebody, hopefully you're asking them what they do first, and then when they say, so what do? You say, I'm a nutraMetrix consultant. I implement revenue generating wellness solutions to support practices, or whatever your version of I implement. And then we're going to follow it up with a who do you know who might be a good fit. And I'm talking, of course, generally. We're going to make this into a conversation, but if we're in a networking event, this format is actually very appropriate. This is who I am, what I do, and who I'm looking for. But what we learn in NC training, that TED video that we watched on the first day, is so important, because Simon Sinek, who's the one who is in that video, he says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you talk about what you believe, you will attract those who believe what you believe. So the thing that's missing from this is our why. Put the why before the I, as I lovingly robbed and duplicated from another NC, so that people understand where you're coming from and where you're going. So it becomes less about you and your singular mission. And your singular mission might be, I'm building my business, and more about the bigger picture, your driving factor of why you do what you do. So try adding your why before the I. I really like that. So it might sound like this. I'm on a mission to help our country's doctors grow a financially sound business and practice medicine the way they thought they were going to when they went to medical school. So to do that, I am a nutraMetrix consultant. I implement a wide variety of revenue-generating wellness solutions that address and answer a lot of the questions your patients are probably already asking you, or whatever your version of that is. I think a great way to start with it is to use language like I'm on a mission, I'm on a journey, my passion is, because that's going to grab people and hook them in. Because they hear, well, first of all, it's just a very visual image. And through those words and creating that picture, they're going to, if they want to, join you on that journey. So you want to find whatever your why is, and you want to make sure it's very succinct, like 1 or 2 sentences. You don't want to give them your 2-minute commercial. That's a little much. So whatever it is that your nutraMetrix why, you want to hone that into 1 or 2 sentences, and then just attach that. So to do that, so to reach that goal, so to make my mission possible, this is what I do. And of course, your network is your net worth. And what we always do is build relationships. We are in a people business. So we need to always be building relationships with the people that we meet. So what we're going to do is book a one-on-one session with them. Now, I don't mean book a session to show them the plan. That will come in time, and as you get to know people, you're going to find out if they're the right candidate. Now, for a health professional, because of our HP1 program, our introductory program, it may not be necessary or even appropriate to sit down with them and show them the plan. You will know when it is that time. Sometimes it will be before they open their account. Sometimes it will be long after they've opened their account, and we've created a strong model within the 4 walls of their practice. But sit down and learn about them, their business and their goals. And guess what? If you ask some of those questions on the 15 that are on the 15-minute appointment form and have them come up naturally in conversation, you now have enough information just from meeting them for coffee to actually put a program together for them to evaluate. And I'll get to that in a couple slides from now, okay? So in addition to learning about them, you also want to share about you and your business and your goals and your needs. If you're meeting somebody one-on-one, I'm not talking about an actual 15-minute appointment with a doctor. This is meeting with somebody, meeting with a health professional that you meet out and about to learn about each other and to see about referring business to each other. And again, the best tip that I can share with you is to have zero expectations about the outcome. As you hear me say often in the NC training, if anything is ever icky in this business while you're building this business, it's because you've made it about yourself and not about how you can help the other person. And that's true across the board for almost everything, but sticking to our business with every division. If you've made it about, if you see dollar signs in your eyes when you meet somebody, your motives are not correct for building a solid business. Okay, so you're meeting with them simply to share information, to exchange ideas, and learn from each other. Out of that will come referrals. If you're meeting with a health professional, it might even lead to opening an account with them. But don't have that expectation, or you will find yourself disappointed often. Simply stay in the how can I help you mode. And you might just say, hey, let's get together over coffee, right? You meet a cardiologist at your kid's soccer game. You ask what they do, you share your I am, I implement, but of course you put your why before the I. And during the course of normal conversation, you say, you know what, let's get together over coffee and learn about each other's businesses and see how we might be able to help each other out. Or even better yet, say you're at this whatever event, we'll keep it the soccer game, and the cardiologist says, oh, I really want to know more about what you do. I think one of the best things that you can do is say, listen, I'm actually here to watch the game and support my kid. I don't really want to talk about business, but I would love to get together over coffee and learn about what you do and share what I do and see how we might be able to help each other. I can't tell you how much credibility that can give you that you're not there to pounce on somebody, that you very much would enjoy learning about them and sharing with what you do in the appropriate context. So one of the appropriate contexts, so let's say you meet that cardiologist and they're a cardiologist or any other ologist, and they're incredibly busy. So maybe the next step is booking them into a webinar. Now, this webinar booking may come at different stages for every health professional that you meet. It might come when you first meet each other and they want to know more about what you do, and you're both very busy, and you say, listen, the best thing I can do is 9:15 or whatever time it is, depending on your time zone, from the comfort of your own home in your PJs, if you're on the East Coast, or if they have a half day and you're on the West Coast. In 30 minutes at that time, I can get you all the basic information that you need. And before we leave, let's book a time for you and I to follow up. Because that next step may be different depending on when you're booking that health professional into the webinar. So why is it important? Like I mentioned, busy schedules. Third-party leverage is always a great thing. The amazing thing about third-party leverage or having a third-party expert is that third party doesn't even have to be the expert. They're just they're the third party that is a outside source that has no motive for the outcome, if that makes sense. Now, fortunately, with nutraMetrix, when you're leveraging the Thursday night webinars, we are the experts in explaining what we do for nutraMetrix. And you should be on those Thursday night webinars so you can become the expert either for the health professional that you're working with, maybe they can't make it on Thursdays, or you can be that expert for somebody else on your team or somebody in your area, all right? And of course, so they can see the big picture, so they know it's not just you. Now, this question comes up a lot. I have a health professional who can only make it to whatever that Thursday date is, but the webinar is for NCs. Can I invite a health professional? The answer is absolutely. In my opinion, it's even better. Because the content of the NC webinar is the same content for the health professional webinar, but there's additional slides at the end which talk about the different roles that different NCs play and how we support the health professional. So now, in addition to them getting the great overview of the services we provide, we also share with them how we support them in their practice on the daily and weekly, monthly basis. So you might say, hey, I'm so glad, but you also want to manage expectations. So you need to let the health professional know what they're going to see. So you might say something like, I'm so glad you're able to carve out this time on Thursday to learn about nutraMetrix. The main content of the webinar is geared towards health professionals like yourself. In addition, the last few minutes of the webinar is focused on people like me, consultants who help doctors like yourself. You'll gain some insight into all the different ways we support your wellness vision. The host will stay on the line and answer questions live. So our next step is to discuss how these solutions will best fit your practice. So before I leave, let's book our next meeting. And again, that next meeting may be an actual 15-minute appointment. It might be a proposal meeting. It might be an implementation meeting. Now, you'll meet health professionals all the time, and they're very, very busy. And they might say something like, well, don't you have some literature I can read? Can't you just drop something off? And if you have been cold calling, you might get this a lot from gatekeepers. So the answer is no. We don't have something we can just drop off, because what we do with nutraMetrix is so different than all those other health and wellness companies that people assume that we're the same as. But we have to turn that no into something that's positive. So how do we do that? So you might want to say something like, no, we don't have literature that we can drop off because everything we do is highly customized. And then I'm going to let them know that what we do in the practice is simple. And I might say, while implementing the right program in your practice is quite simple, we have hundreds of products, services, education, and technology that we use to create a simple program that's unique to your practice while generating the revenue you want to make. Honestly, at this stage, I'd have to leave a stack of papers a couple feet high, and I don't think either one of us wants to sift through all of that. So here's what I propose. It's actually easier and more time efficient for me to show you what I do rather than try to talk about it. So let's connect for a few minutes so I can learn a little bit more about you and the needs of your practice. And with that information, I can put something together for you to evaluate and see if it's a fit. So what did I just do here? In telling them no, that I don't have something that I can drop off, I've told them everything about what we do that's unique. They've never had somebody ask them these questions. They've never had somebody for free say, listen, I want to sit down and learn a little bit more and help you. And I want to share with you something that I say. I always follow it with this. If it's a health professional that I know directly, or if it's somebody who's referred me directly, I want to let them know that there is zero pressure. This is not sales. So what I say is, if it's a fit, fantastic. And if it's not a fit, fantastic. And I emphasize that it's better if it's not a fit. They're going to decide themselves. And I'll follow it up with something like, and now you'll have a clear understanding of who we are and the kind of people we're looking for, or what we do to help practices like your own. Now, yes, I'm going to take that information and design a program for them. And I've already done the work in that one meeting. Because when you think about it, it really is. Now, it's not necessarily more time efficient for the NC. You will have to put a proposal together. But it's more time efficient in the bigger picture. Because when you give them that proposal, when you show them what you can do, they will be blown away. And the fact that you're showing them with zero expectations, they're more inclined, if they see a fit, if they see something that's right for their practice, they will be more inclined to make a partnership, to open their account with nutraMetrix. And of course, we're coming in for a landing. I truly believe that as entrepreneurs, we should leave as little to chance as possible and register your guests for the webinars. Just think about all the emails you get. And even with the best of intentions, you get an email, you forget to maybe flag it as unread, even though you read it, and a day goes by and you completely forgot to do something that you said you were going to do. So take it upon yourself to register your guests with that link, and then follow it up with an email, because that email, that confirmation email, might go to spam. So just use this. I recommend, if you're doing a lot of inviting to the webinars, well, one, I recommend to do a lot of inviting to the webinars, but to save this somewhere, put it in one of your email signatures so you can, have it right in your email. And just say I took the liberty of registering you for the webinar. You should have received an email from someone named Lauren Sauerbeck. If you don't see it, check your spam folder. You'll get a reminder 24 hours and 1 hour before the start of the webinar. And if you use GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar software, and have it installed, then all you need to do is click the GoToWebinar button in the email at 9:10. I didn't say 9:15, I said 9:10. If you don't have the software, then sign in at 9 and let the software install. And it's really, that simple. Let me get a screen back up. All right, so that is the content for tonight.